What's up, guys? Welcome to the first episode of the After Hours podcast with me and Jace. My name is Caden, of course, and today we're just going to get right into things, talking about the NFL. We're going to talk about the AFC and NFC championships last weekend, and then look ahead to the Super Bowl. And then after that, we're going to have a special guest here to talk to us about MMA. We don't really know much about that, but we're going to bring someone in who does know a lot about it, and we'll kind of ask him a few questions about MMA. So, Jace, you ready to get into it?
Oh, yeah. I'm very excited for the first podcast of the rebrand.
Oh, yeah. Let's get right into this one. So, moving on, or starting with the Buffalo Bills, we'll kind of talk about the Bills and Chiefs game first. I'm just kidding. We're going to cut that out and go back. We're going to start with the first game, the Eagles and the Commanders. I feel like we should start with that one just because of the fact that, the Eagles won 55-23. So I think we should discuss that one first. First of all, let's talk about what happened to the Commanders. What went wrong with them offensively?
Well, first of all, receivers struggled to get open. Their O-line was solid most of the game, but proved to be a liability at times. Receiving core did not play up to par like they normally did. So many fumbles. And again, this team was not supposed to be here. They probably should have lost to the Bucs in the first round, if we're being honest. But they made it all the way here. It was a great season. I just don't think they were the team that deserved to be here, but they put up a valiant effort. They still got 23 points, and it was somewhat close for a good chunk of the game.
I definitely think they just made a bunch of mistakes that they usually don't make, because during the course of the season, they had one of the most efficient offenses in the NFL. They had several. Jaden Daniels right now has more games with no punts than Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Entire games without punting the football, and he's played 1 year. So they were very efficient on offense, but in this game they weren't. It was the turnovers that really hurt them. Didn't have any turnovers in the first two playoff games, and it seemed like whenever they got to a point to where it's like, hey, maybe we can actually get back in this game, take the lead, they turn the ball over. Like they fumble on the kickoff, or they fumble on the punt. You know, you force a punt after scoring, and then you're supposed to get the ball back, and then you fumble the football. So it was costly mistakes that they usually don't make, and they just were very unlike themselves in that game.
Yeah, and that's what happens when a team who overachieves plays a team who is not. And I think the Eagles showed that they were the best team in the NFC this year on Sunday.
100%. Now, moving on into the Eagles specifically. So the Eagles, not very many concerns about them going into the Super Bowl. One specific one would be the offensive line. They've had a few injuries on there. How could that impact them going into the big game?
I really don't think it's going to harm them that much. I've already heard some very solid reports coming out of Eagles executives talking about it. They don't think it's going to be that bad, and I think the line's going to be ready for the Super Bowl, and I really don't think it's going to be an issue 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It just depends on, because the Chiefs have a really good pass rush. We'll get into them in a little bit. But if they are missing those two interior guys, which they have 2 weeks, so they should be able to get back in there.
Yeah.
It'll be good. But if they're not, it's going to be tough. You're going to have Chris Jones up the middle and Charles Omenihu. It's going to be tough. But Saquon, I think it's not going to affect Saquon. I think it'll just affect the passing game is where it's going to be a problem. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, if it ends up being a problem, it will be in the passing game. I don't think Saquon will do as well if they have a couple linemen injured. But yeah, the Eagles should be good to go.
All right, now we're going to take a look at the other game that day, the AFC Championship game, where the Bills fell to the Chiefs by a score of 32-29. Now, talking about the Bills specifically, what went wrong?
Well, what went wrong was they had some injuries in the secondary. Josh Allen and the Bills' offense are not better than Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs' offense. Andy Reid is the better coach than Sean McDermott. And plus, this team just was not supposed to be here this year. Many expected them to win just 9 to 11 games instead of being arguably the most dominant team in the whole AFC, get the 2 seed, and come within 3 points of going to the Super Bowl, and maybe a few calls away actually winning the AFC Championship and going to the Super Bowl. I just think that this was a retooling year for the Bills, and if they have a good offseason, this loss is not going to hurt that bad.
Yeah, the Bills, I think one of the biggest things is it comes to coaching. I think the coaching, they got outcoached. I think they got outcoached by the Chiefs. I think you can specifically see that when it came to the quarterback sneaks. Now, obviously, I'm not an insider for the Bills, so I don't know specifically if that's on Josh Allen or if it's on the coaching. Because Josh Allen, every single time he runs that QB sneak, he goes in the exact same hole. He goes in the A gap on the left side every single time, and the Chiefs just stuck a guy right there, and it didn't work. He was 2 for 6 on QB sneaks in that game, and that play for the Bills all year had been unstoppable. Every time Josh Allen carried the ball, he would get 5 or 6 yards the whole season, and the Chiefs basically shut him down. He had the one carry for 13 yards in the fourth quarter on the last drive. Other than that, he was averaging like 3 yards a carry, and he only had like 26 yards rushing or something like that. So they really shut him down. But the problem is that the Bills didn't learn from their mistakes. They didn't say, hey, they're stopping us from doing this. Why don't I run the other way? Why don't I do something differently and trying to fix it? They just did the same thing over and over again. And another thing I would like to talk about is on that last play of the game. The play that they ran on 4th and 5 was not great. Basically what they said is, hey, we're just going to throw this all in our quarterback's hands and have him make a miracle. Like, basically, they just said drop back and just throw it, and you can't do that when the game's on the line. And Josh Allen is a pretty talented player. But also part of that was on Josh Allen. He was very confused by Spags' defense because he shifted the line the wrong way. He shifted the offensive line to the left, and the corner blitzed off the right. So that was kind of on him. But the play was not designed very well for that moment.
Yeah, I just think it was a little bit unfortunate, the outcome of the game, but I don't think Bills fans should be too upset about this. They still have plenty more chances, and honestly, don't be shocked if the team gets better in the next couple of years and have a better chance of going to the Super Bowl, with potentially the Chiefs even getting worse after maybe three-peating. Maybe they're a little bit burnt out from winning championships. Maybe you get past them, maybe you go to the Super Bowl and win it, who knows?
Well, I think this loss hurts more to the Bills fans than if they would have lost to Baltimore last week.
Yeah.
Because you lost to the same team 4 times, and every time they get to play the Chiefs, they have all this hope, and they just get crushed. And it's not because Josh Allen doesn't step in the moment. Josh Allen played pretty good on Sunday. He was not the reason they lost. And so Josh Allen steps up in the moment, but he just doesn't step up enough to beat Patrick Mahomes. And so that's why it sucks so much for this team. And so we'll see what they can do next year.
Yes, we will.
All right, so we're going to focus on the team that did win that game, the Chiefs. There was a lot of things going for them. They were able to move the football. The secondary played pretty good. Good job containing Josh Allen, but there was a little bit of a struggle when it came to stopping the run, and they have a little bit of a better running back next week. So what's going on with that?
Yeah, the run defense by the Chiefs, they just got plowed through in the second half, and it was really, really bad. Just not fun to watch, especially us who are Chiefs fans. It was just so frustrating because it was 8-yard run, 7-yard run, 4-yard run, 6-yard run. Then, finally it's a 4th down, get it again, and then they finally scored a touchdown to take the lead. I just really think that if the Chiefs want to win the Super Bowl, they're going to have to make some major adjustments wanting to stop Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. Because Josh Allen, James Cook, phenomenal duo, but man, the Eagles have a better O-line and a better running back. So I think that's going to make it tougher for them. But I was really pleased by the secondary. The linebackers I thought played pretty well in coverage.
I think the ability that the Chiefs had to slow down the quarterback run is really going to help them. Because if they can focus more on stopping Saquon than stopping both of them, then it'll really help them more like be more focused on Saquon, because they stopped Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts is banged up with his knee injury, so I don't know what he's going to be anyways.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, and if the Chiefs can contain Hurts, like you said, put all your focus onto Barkley, and we know the Chiefs are really good at shutting down elite running backs, as we've seen with Derrick Henry in the past and other running backs.
All right, so that were the championship games we just recapped. Now we're going to take a look into 2 weeks from now, where there will be the Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, where the Chiefs and Eagles will meet again for the second time in 3 years. Now, Jace, I know we're 2 weeks away. We'll talk about this more next week, but what early predictions do you have for the big game?
Honestly, I think that the Eagles are going to start off hotter than the Chiefs because we always see that in the Super Bowl. Whether if the Chiefs win or lose, the opposing team always starts off way hotter than the Chiefs. And then, like in the 3 Super Bowls they've won, they've kind of gotten their groove, they got back into it, and then they win in the last few minutes, right? But the Bucs Super Bowl, they were never able to come back.
Yeah, I think that it's gonna be a good game. I think, like you said, the Eagles might start out hot, especially. But something I'm worried about is the Chiefs being down in the fourth quarter and the offensive line and Saquon Barkley wearing down the defense and then just running out the clock. So I think the Chiefs are gonna have to get a lead, like in the third, early fourth quarter. You have to be up by at least like a whole score, just because of the fact if you go down and then you have to punt the ball away, you may not get it back because they're going to run down a lot of the clock. So you're going to have to be that slow start may really come back to bite you.
Yeah, and this Eagles team, they have the best defense in the NFL, and I mean, I just don't know if the Chiefs can do enough on offense. Right now, it's kind of looking like the Eagles are going to be the better team in this game.
Little off topic, though, about the Eagles. Man, did they have a good offseason. I mean, They clicked on everything. After the end of last year, I thought they were going to win like 5 games. It was all downhill, and every single thing they did in the offseason clicked. There are 2 cornerbacks they picked in the draft, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, are insane. They're both super good at covering wide receivers. They signed Zach Bond, who was a special teamer for the Saints, is now an All-Pro. Darius Slay has gotten so much better. That's not really an offseason thing that they did, but I mean, he got a lot better. Signing Saquon Barkley, Mekhi Becton coming over from the Jets, who he wasn't great with the Jets, but he fits in with this offensive line because he has such a good offensive line around him.
Yeah.
So it makes him a lot better. But man, congrats to Howie Roseman. He may be the best general manager in the NFL.
Yeah, he has done an absolutely phenomenal job year in and year out. And hey, we got to get some credit to the Chiefs GM, Brett Veach, who was able to bring in DeAndre Hopkins and Xavier Worthy to fix up this lackluster receiving core. And Hollywood Brown, too.
Even though he missed the whole year, but he's had a really big impact. We've seen how the Chiefs' offense has started to be able to move the football, and you can see how those RPOs are back.
Oh yeah,
where the were gone because the receivers did not catch the football or they weren't fast enough. But that is our little Super Bowl preview. We're definitely going to talk about it more next week, but we're